The love of the day is Storge. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Fences. And I know nothing about this movie. This is a donation reward from Venom. And you may have noticed there's been a bit of a theme already this February. You may have noticed in the color text on the title of the Grosse Point Blank movie said Ludus. And right in the thumbnail of the reaction to Nosferatu, it mentioned Eros, sexual love. So now we are talking about another form of love. We are talking about Storge. So, for those who don't know, the Greeks had a bunch of different words for love, for different kinds of love. Eros, like I mentioned, is sexual, passionate love. The kind of love you have in regards to, well, lust, really. Ludus is kind of playful, cutesy, fun love. That's not as committal, not as serious, but more about the experience of it. And today we have Storge. Storge is about familial love. Love that is based on just family bonds, very close friends. The kind of love that is formed based on affection, dependency, and familiarity. It is all about family bonding today. And I've been told that this movie features that. I've also been told that Fences is a good movie for Black History Month, which it also is, and we definitely need to focus on just as much. Because while February might be the month of love, it is also a month to celebrate and highlight Black history. And it's a big deal, and we should be doing that every month of the year. But with how the situation is in this country and world as a whole, we kind of set aside these months to bring extra attention to this kind of stuff. That's why we also have Pride Month and everything. So I've heard this movie is good for both. That is what Venom told me. So yeah, we have. Well, I have no idea what this movie's about. I have no idea who's in it. I assume that if good for Black History Month, it probably has at least notably black cast. There's a lot of great actors out there who could be in this. I have no idea who is. I don't think I've even heard of this movie before. Like, fences can obviously mean a shit ton of different things. You can be talking about, like a fence in a yard. You can be talking about fences as in people who sell stolen goods. You can be talking about fences as more of a institutional construct, keeping people out and everything. There's a lot of meanings that you can give to this term, and honestly, like, I could see any of them being the basis for a movie. So I just genuinely don't know what to expect. And like I said, I don't know who's in this either. I don't know anything. And that makes it exciting. As I always say, I prefer to go in as blind as possible with any movie I react to. A lot of times that's not always possible because it's like, oh, I've heard plenty about this movie. I may not have even watched a trailer, but I've heard plenty about it. And so it's like, I'm not going to be completely blind, but I still don't know exactly how it's going to go. But when I find a movie that I know, like, literally nothing about in any way, shape, or form, it's exciting to me. And it may not end up working out. Sometimes it doesn't. But I think it's always worth checking out. I think any movie is always worth giving a shot to, even if it doesn't seem like it's going to necessarily be my thing. Though, like I said, I have no idea for this one. And Honestly, I've been proven wrong on that regard in many, many cases as it is. So, at this point, who knows? But I'm interested in giving this a shot. I'm interested in seeing what this has in store and how it connects to both Black History Month and Storge Love. So let us check this out and find out. Hold up just a second there. Before you click that link down in the description below to go to today's reaction, I just wanted to take this moment real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the awesome gaming content over on the Princess of Gaming channel. Every single day of the week, we have some awesome Let's Plays for you. A bunch of different things to check out, and more coming in the future. And don't forget to click that subscribe button or like the video if you really enjoy the content I'm putting out. There will be more to come in the future. In the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in, and let's get this going. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So before anything, I looked up the cast, and I do know one of the other actors from stuff. Mykelti Williamson, who played Gabriel, I very much know because he was Bubba in Forrest Gump. He was also in the second episode of the Fallout series. He was this character named Honcho who dug up the ghoul and everything. And he was in various other things I've seen, like Psych and Monk. And it's like, oh, I've seen him in actually quite a few things. I've definitely seen him before. He was something else. I looked it up. I don't have it up anymore. Let me get it up real quick. He was in something else that I noticed, and it's like, oh shit, he was in that? Like, I never knew about it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, he was in 2009's The Final Destination. So that's interesting, but that's not what I was talking about. Oh yeah, he was Joe Dixon in the Purge election year. So that's pretty fun. And he's still doing stuff. He has a movie in post-production currently called The Last Rodeo. He was in Unstoppable in 2024. He's still got stuff coming out. But yeah, in terms of TV stuff, he's been in a lot. He was also apparently in the 97 version of 12 Angry Men, which I saw like once and didn't like. I don't like it anywhere near like the level of the 50s 12 Angry Men that I loved. That's my favorite movie. But yeah, Psych, 24, all kinds of stuff here. Let's try to go to more recent. And it looks like Fallout's the most recent TV role, but he had a recurring role in Law and Order Organized Crime. He was in a Lethal Weapon series, Chicago PD, various things like that. But let's talk about this movie. So, this is an interesting movie because the vast majority of it all takes place at this house. There's like a scene or two that's elsewhere. Like there's the one scene where Rose confronts him at his job, I think it is. And then there's the one scene where he's like very briefly at the city hall or whatnot to meet with the commissioner or whatever it is about getting his promotion and everything, you know, when that happens. It's like, but for the vast majority of the film, like 98% of the film, it's all at this house. And so I kind of consider this almost a bottle movie in that regard. To where it like almost takes place in the exact same spot the entire time. The movie doesn't have a plot in the traditional sense as well. It just kind of throws you into it, and it's basically just our main character of Troy interacting with his friends and family and how their relationships really just change over time. And there's a lot you could say about each of these different relationships and how each of them like are just very toxic in a different way. And I don't know what most people's thoughts on this are because, like I said, I never even heard of this movie prior to getting this requested. But my view on it is that it is extremely toxic. That the relationships, and this is nothing against any of the actors, directors, writers, etc. I'm just saying, just based on the material we're shown, it is extremely toxic. He was a bad person. Troy was a bad person, and he put that on his family, and often, whether it led to abuse, infidelity, or just, lack of love. And that's an interesting part, too, because this was suggested by Venom. You suggested this as a option for Storge, familial love. And the interesting thing about that is this kind of shows both that familial love and what it means to not be experiencing that. Because you definitely get the familial love from Rose and Corey, and Raynell eventually, and even Lyons. You get the familial love there from that part of the family, but Troy doesn't ever reciprocate any of that, and instead responds with, at best, indifference, and at worst, disdain. He treats them as like a settlement, like he settled for them because he couldn't follow his dreams of playing baseball. Because the color barrier wasn't broken until he was, too old to be able to play at that point. Especially, like, really getting drafted to the major leagues. He became bitter and angry about it. And all the other prejudices he was seeing in the world just made him close himself off emotionally. He even said that's why he started the relationship with Roberta, I think it was, because he found it as a way to feel alive. He found it as a way to find something to look forward to in life because he had grown so despondent with his life. Like, yeah, he had been with Rose for 18 years, but he didn't love her anymore. He didn't love his sons. He didn't love anything. He was so out of touch with life. Like, we see him even, like, yelling at the very concept of death multiple times. Basically saying, come get me, because he's sick of it all. Roberta made him feel alive again. And the fact that he had to cheat to do that to Rose, to be able to find life again, just shows that he was too far gone. That he was at a point that he was not going to be redeemed. And he wasn't. The last thing we see before his death is him literally attacking his son in a drunken rage and stupor. He literally attacks him just because Corey stands up against him, finally. He attacks him and he kicks him out. He then starts, again, challenging death again before it switches scenes to, like, 6-7 years later to he's dead. Literally the last thing we see from him is his refusal to change, his refusal to see the light. And at the end there, when Rose is like, when she gets angry at Corey for not wanting to go to his father's funeral, she tells him it's because when I married him, there was so much good in him, and you received all of that good. And he wanted you to be better than him, but he also wanted you to be him. And she keeps, like, she reiterates that he got the good parts of him. And that despite everything, that Troy was trying to do good. He was failing, but he was trying to do right by his family. And even if we want to take that as true, we didn't see any of that in the film. And this is the thing that I'm really like not conflicted on for the movie, because it's definitely the point of the film and definitely what's intended here. It's not like bad writing or anything, but I wonder if other people who have watched this, what they take from that. Because my take is that Troy was an asshole. Troy was a piece of shit. He was a bad person. And yes, that was brought upon by a lot of horrible shit that he went through. An excessively abusive father who was also nearly a rapist to this 13-year-old girl. He left home at 14 because of that situation and ended up having to become a thief just to survive. He spent, how many years in jail was it? Like 15 or so years in prison because of all of this. He met his best friend because of that, and he started getting into baseball because of that. But we see that he's had this horrible life, admittedly, and that embittered him to the world. That destroyed his hope, his dreams, his desires, his livelihood. He no longer felt like there was anything to hope for, look forward to in the world. And so he settled. And when he married Rose, I'm sure it was love. I'm absolutely sure. And I'm sure there was some love for Corey. But over the years, he just lost his hope and determination and desires more and more and more, and just became just completely irredeemable. Because he just didn't want to try anymore, basically. He was so afraid of failure. He was so afraid of everything going wrong, and, everyone attacking them for the color of their skin and stuff. And that definitely went to how he treated his son, how he treated Corey. Because that was one of the main reasons why he didn't want Corey, like, focusing so much on football. He didn't want him to waste his time, because he felt that as a young black man, Corey wouldn't be able to play as he needed to, and wouldn't be able to, make the most of this career and be able to make money off of this, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's horrible. He was pushing his own fears and inadequacies on his family. And then after he, cheated on his wife, and after Roberta died in childbirth, he also literally kind of forced the daughter he had out of wedlock. He forced her on his wife. And yeah, it's made clear Rose ended up really growing to care for Ray now. She adored the shit out of her, absolutely. And I think that's why Rose in the end was defending him. I think that's why Rose started to defend him, and why Rose started to argue with Corey about it, because I feel like she found something to hope in again. And even though this baby was literally a product of her husband cheating on her, she still made this her own experience, and she fell in love with this little girl. And that's great. That's awesome. Like I said in the reaction, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could ever be in that situation. where I would be willing to raise a baby that my partner had out of wedlock with me. That probably not, but she was able to do that, and she found something to love again. She found something to brighten her spirits and make her feel happy. And in the end, this movie is about family. It's about storge, familial love. And it's both about how that love can drive a person to find that zest, that zeal for life, but also how it can ruin them. It shows both the good and the bad of storge. It shows how storge, how familial love can be twisted and turned and just destroyed by age and bitterness and terrible experiences, but it also shows the good that can come of it. You see Corey and Raynell bonding at the end over the song. You see how Rose still fights for her family, despite all the pain she's been put through. You see in the end, like, even despite having been imprisoned, like, Lyons is let out for the funeral, and he gets to be with his family during that time. And on top of it, Gabriel is let out for the funeral and gets to be with his family. Gabriel, who we very much see Troy very actively cared about. Probably the only person at that point he still did. And it's just... Gabriel playing the horn at the end, and you seen the, like, clouds part to let the sun through and everything, is clearly, in my eyes, representative of looking towards a brighter future, making the best of the life you're given, and working together to find that light in the world. But you notice that light only comes out after Troy's death. Troy was the one holding them back. Troy was the one ruining their happiness, ruining their hope, their ability to see the light. So once he has passed, once he is gone, and once he can't ruin their life anymore, that light is able to shine. Family situations and familial love isn't always perfect. In fact, most of the time it's not. It's messy. It's hard. And there's going to be a lot of pain with it. There's a lot of times where a family member will hurt you and be a problem for your mental and emotional health. But you need to find a way to find the family that you still have and bring out that light. And that family can come in many different forms. It doesn't have to be biological family. That family can come with very close friends. You can choose your family. Like, chosen family is very important. And sometimes necessary, depending on the situation you grow up in. You need to be able to make a life that you're proud of with the family that you care for and that cares for you. And when there's people who are holding you back from that, who are actively endangering that ability to be happy, honestly, it's better to get them out of your life. Corey, like, choosing to leave, like, because he probably could have appealed to Rose and she would have let him stay and all, but him choosing to leave and join the Marines instead was probably what was going to be best for him. He got out of that situation. And when he came back, he found that there was family waiting for him still. Despite not being able to reconcile with his father, he found he still had his mother. He had a new younger sister, half sister, but still. He has his half brother. He has his uncle. All these people still there for him and who still show him love. Despite everything that they've been through, they're still there for him. So that's what I got out of this. And I don't know if that's what everyone got. I don't know if like that's a common interpretation. But that's my view. So I think this movie was like, again, it didn't really have like this standard narrative structure with the way it was written and directed and presented, but it really lived on its acting. All the actors did a phenomenal job. Obviously, Denzel and Viola Davis did phenomenal. Like, no surprise, they're both phenomenal actors. But like everyone else did great too. Stephen McKinley Henderson, who was Bono, was pretty great. Jovan Adepo, who was Corey, Russell Hornsby, Lions, as I already mentioned, Mackelty Williamson as Gabriel, and Sania Sidney at the end as Raynell. All of them did a great job. I don't think there was a bad actor in this film. They all did great, and they all performed their roles excellently. Denzel and Viola were obviously the highlight, but still. Their speeches and stuff were definitely the biggest parts of this film. I mean, a lot of this movie was just Troy talking to his family and interacting with them and stuff. A lot of times fighting with them. But the speeches he gave, the speeches we got from Viola, so good. So damn good. Definitely the highlight of this movie. It's a hard movie to watch, though. It's really hard to sit through because of the subject material, and it gets really heavy. It's a movie that I don't know if I'd be able to watch over and over and over again, like some movies out there. But it's one that I'm glad that I did see. It's one that I'm happy to have checked out, and I think it really does showcase the complex, even troubled family dynamics that can occur. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of Fences? Let me know your thoughts, and thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.